The smartest person in the room is often the one who stays stuck on a decision the longest. Does that surprise you? Because most people imagine it's the inexperienced leader who struggles with difficult decisions, or the person who lacks confidence, or simply the one who doesn't know enough. And I've seen something very different. After working with dozens of CEOs and business founders, I kept noticing the same pattern. The people everyone turns to for answer were often the last ones to move. And it took me years to understand why. Because the explanation isn't what most people think. Hi, I'm John Ferrand. I'm the founder of the Next Move Experience and the creator of the Decision Performance Method. I'll help CEOs and business founders resolve the high-stakes strategic decisions that have resisted analysis, meetings, and advice. What I eventually discovered changed the way I think about decision-making. It's something the best leaders deliberately cultivate because it gives them better access to the intelligence they already have. And I'll come back to that. Think about what happens when you're the person everyone relies on. A difficult decision lands on your desk. So you do exactly what you have made you successful. You think harder, you gather more information, you ask another advisor, or you read another report, and you build another scenario. At first, that's the right things to do. More information often improves a decision. Until one day it doesn't. There comes a point where every new piece of information creates another question instead of another answer. The options multiply. Every argument has a counter-argument. Every path has a downside. And without realizing it, you've been carrying the same decisions for weeks, sometimes much longer. Not because you aren't capable, because analysis quietly stopped moving the decision forward. And I call this the analysis trap. The analysis trap isn't expensive because of the thinking. It's expensive because of the waiting. And while you are still evaluating, your competitors are acting. Your team is waiting. Projects lose momentum. Opportunities quietly disappear. The cost of an unresolved decision is rarely obvious while you are living through it. You usually recognize it afterwards, so I became obsessed with one question. If intelligence isn't enough, what is? Before becoming an entrepreneur, I was an aircraft engineer. Engineering taught me to trust analysis, and for years it worked. Until I found myself facing decisions no spreadsheet could solve. Should I change direction? Should I invest? Should I let someone go? Should I say no to this opportunity? I had the data, I understood the trade-off, and yet nothing moved. I was frozen. And that experience completely changed the question I was asking. I stopped asking, how do people make better decisions? Instead, I started asking, what makes intelligent people lose access to the judgment they already have? That question led me somewhere unexpected. The problem wasn't intelligence. The problem was access. And I call that decision capacity. Decision capacity is your ability to constantly access your best judgment when making high-stakes strategic decisions. Because intelligence doesn't disappear under pressure. Experience doesn't disappear. Expertise doesn't disappear, but your ability to access all three changes. It changes with accumulated cognitive load, with unresolved decisions, with chronic pressure, with uncertainty, with poor recovery. And something else fascinated me. The environment in which leader thinks. And we spend enormous amount of time improving strategies. Very few leaders deliberately improve the conditions in which strategy is created. Think about it. Imagine trying to make the most important decisions of the year in the same office, surrounded by the same interruption, carrying the same unresolved conversations, looking at the same screen that has kept you stuck for the past 6 weeks. Why would you be different? That question changed everything for me, because exceptional business decisions don't begin with better strategy. They begin with a better thinking environment. At the beginning of this video, I told you I would discover you. So I discovered something the best leaders deliberately cultivate. It isn't higher intelligence. It isn't another framework. It isn't another spreadsheet. It's the ability to create the conditions that give them better access to the intelligence they already have. When those conditions improve, leaders rarely become more intelligent. They become more available to their intelligence. And that is a very different idea. And for decades, we have invested in teaching leaders how to communicate, how to negotiate, how to execute, how to build strategy. Every one of those disciplines matters. But I believe we have overlooked another capacity: the ability to constantly make high-quality strategic decisions when the stakes are highest. And I call that decisions performance. A leadership discipline focused on improving the quality of high-stakes strategic decisions. Because businesses don't change through strategy alone. Every strategy begins with a decision, whether it's an acquisition, a partnership, or a market expansion. If you improve the quality of your decisions, you will improve the trajectory of the business. So, the next time you are carrying an important strategic decision, don't ask yourself first, do I need more information? But ask yourself, am I creating the conditions that will allow my best thinking to emerge? Because your intelligence may not be the bottleneck, but the condition in which you are thinking might be.